Hello, welcome to my channel. The main rule for the quilting is that there are no rules. You will learn, you will watch others, and you will find the methods and ways of quilting that works for you. And that's the most important thing, because you need to find what works for you to be able to enjoy the process. What you will see is my process of working with different materials and different designs, and I hope some of those tips and tricks will help you in your own journey. Hi, it's Paula from Paula Quilting. Welcome back to my channel. Today we will talk about borders. So borders they may or may not be very easy to make, to bring your quilt to be nice and flat when you want to quilt it. So the first quilt I made was just simple 4 inches square quilt, and so I've made that quilt. I bought pre-cuts because I didn't know if I'm going to be able to do it. I bought a little bit of those squares. I thought I would put it together, see how it goes before I start investing in other stuffs like rulers, rotary cutter, and all the other shebang you need to have when you want to actually do the quilting. So I did that quilt. It was medium-sized quilt. It wasn't very huge, but it was nice for my older son. And then, wow, I didn't watch the YouTube videos, I didn't read anything about it, I just went with whatever I thought is the best. So I had a piece of fabric, I longer than the edge I wanted to put the the border on. I sewed it in, I slashed the edges. I did the same thing here. I've put it in, whatever was sticking out I cut it off, and I did the same thing on this side. So the piece was longer, I sewed it in, I cut to the size, and same thing on this side. And what happened is, there is no way that when you have all of those seams here and you don't measure that piece correctly, that you won't have a wonky border. So you would think that if you calculated how much you have here and then cut that piece to size, it will be right. And yes, sometimes it will, but how many of us, and me included, will stitch all of those blocks together exactly with the 1/4 inch? I mean, I'm quilting, like I said, 6 years now, and I'm sewing probably every day of the week, most of the times, and I'm still not there to make that 1/4 inch to be like exact 1/4 inch. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I just work around it. So again, that method that, okay, so it's for here, for here, for here, for here, for here, and then those halves on the end, that should be my piece. Again, it might, if there is not many blocks here, if there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks and they were big, probably that piece will fit quite nicely. But if you have smaller pieces of the blocks coming in, and lots of seams here, if your seams, like I said, are not exact, then obviously the difference between what you've got here and what you would calculated as it should be will be growing exponentially. So the best method, or the most accurate method you should do if you want to have the one continuous piece of fabric stitched as a border, is you measure your quilt in 3 places. So you measure at the top, you measure at the bottom, you measure at the middle, and kind of extrapolate, average out of those 3. It's probably closer to this line than those 2, because those seams will kind of stretch a little bit. Here they are all stitched together from top and bottom, so obviously that will be the most accurate measurement. But just check those 3 measurements and see what's the best option here, and then you will cut your piece of fabric. And then obviously it might be that this edge will be longer or it will be shorter, so you're gonna have to either take in when you're sewing, so you put that fabric under, so the feed docks kind of take it through the machine quicker than your piece on top, and it will kind of balance itself out, or you're gonna have to stretch it a little bit on the seams to fit it in, and that will square up your quilt. And you will do the same thing on the sides. I have come up with my fourth option now method. Basically, when I've got a quilt with blocks, whatever those blocks are, doesn't matter, I will cut my strips to fit, you know, the same size as the blocks that were here, and I will do the same here and all around the quilt, and I will this out. That's basically makes now additional block go around it, and then there will be obviously cornerstone here. Now with that means you now suddenly you've got more options about your borders, you know, creativity. But if you want to have the same border, because that's the design you're going for, make all of those pieces from the same fabric. Once you stitch it all together, you will not see the difference. But what will happen is, when you're sewing it to the remaining bit of the quilt, you can nest nicely your seams. And when you're nesting, that's when that accuracy comes in, that it will all fit nicely and it will square your quilt very nicely. And then you can add obviously another piece of border on top of it, and you just need to make sure you will add those cornerstones as well as, you know, match those pieces here on top of the previous cornerstone, whatever it's going to be. So that's the method. If I have to make a border, this is the method I'm using, because to be honest, I would rather have a quilt from edge to edge with blocks only. I don't know, I just like that type of quilts, and maybe it's because of the blocks I'm making. You know, I'm making a lot of scrappy blocks, wonky log cabin, crumb blocks, string blocks. Because they are quite busy already, most of the times, they don't need additional, you know, frame on it. And also you can make as many as you need to fill in whatever space you want to have the filled in by the quilt. So maybe that's why I do not necessarily put the borders, but sometimes I do need to, and this is the method I'm using. It just make the squaring up quilt so much easier. Now, you know, sometimes you only want to add something small on the sides and then bigger on top and bottom. Use that as well. So that's the option I will be working on the quilt now. So I've got a square quilt, but I want to have a rectangular quilt. So I will add a very small first border here in one color. There will be another small border in another color, again top and top, bottom, and the sides, and then there will be type of a piano key border at the top. And to be fair, that last one, it will be one piece, but because it's the last piece of the borders, I will be adding both at the top and the bottom, and there will be nothing coming on the sides. I'm happy with one piece, because there will be nothing, you know, even if it's a bit wonky like this, it's not going to affect anything here. So when I get to the squaring up the quilt, I will just square it up this way, and that's it. I don't have to worry about if it comes to the sides. But obviously I will measure my quilt and just see what, you know, how much I need to have there to have it as best as I can. But like I said, once I get to the squaring, because it's just one piece of fabric stitched into the rest, it's not going to be linking anywhere else. I'll be able to fix it even if it's a little bit too wonky. So I have cut here already my red pieces and black pieces, which are going to be that first and second small border, and I will show you the quilt when I finish sewing it on, so you can see the detail when those pieces are on. And just to add that with this method you also can use the scraps, because obviously you want to cut this piece to whatever the size of the block width is, but it doesn't have to be one piece, you know. As per best history of the quilting, you will take a piece, you will stitch it to another one, and then you will cut 10 inches or whatever the size you need, because like with this red, I don't know if I've got enough of those whole pieces to make the borders I want to go around. So I've got a lot of cut-offs. I will stitch those two together first, and then I will cut it to whatever size I need. In my quilt it will be 10-inch wide, because that's the size of the block. I've got a 10-inch square. So you can use all the scraps and cut-offs you've got from whatever you were using it for. So you know, it's a scrappy quilt, it will be scrappy border, even though it's the same color, and when you're putting it together you won't actually see it so much. It's not going to kind of come out from the background. So I will show you how it looks when it's put on. So I finished adding the border to my quilt. You can see here that those pieces are matching the width of the block itself, and it's all along the quilt the same way. I basically took all the strips I had left from the main block, and I just chopped those scraps into matching pieces. Then at the corners I've made some matching corner blocks here to link it, and then at the top I've added a piece of border I made on the counting tape. So obviously I will link below in the description about how to do that as well. It came very nice. I didn't have any issues with making sure that the edge is matching. I've nested all along the way of the quilt, so I'm very happy with the result. If you want to see what the quilt look in full when open, I will link in the description below another video where I'm talking how I made those blocks for this quilt as well, so you can have a look at the full project. So thank you for watching, and I hope that was helpful, and check the description below for videos to links to other part of the project. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe to my channel to support my work. For further inspiration and examples of my work, you can check my Instagram or Facebook page. Happy creating!